From Saint-Tropez to San Jose, welcome and welcome back, fellow fans of Clash of Clans. I hope you guys are excited for today's episode. It is your host, Galadon, and yes, today we are talking about the old-time Clash of Clans. Now, this episode originally started as a strategy episode for the recall spell, and we've turned it 180 degrees on its head, and we're going to talk about the history of Clash of Clans. So, if you like sometimes getting more than you bargained for, consider subscribing to the channel, turning on notifications, because in today's episode, we can both reflect to the early days of Clash back in 2012 and take a look at some outstanding usage of the new recall spell. Speaking of recall, make sure you recall the spelling of my name correctly when you use a creator code in any Supercell game. Thank you guys that are doing that, but let's move on because Exorcist is about to ask you a question. Do you recall? That's right. Do you recall the rage spell? Of course you do. Everybody knows about the rage spell, but did you know that the rage spell was first introduced in September of 2012, and it took 18 hours to train one rage spell? I kid you not. What, you want 2 rage spells? Come back in a day and a half. Now, luckily, things were changed, but get this. In October of the same year, they reduced it from 18 hours to 4 hours. What? Yeah. In February of the following year, they reduced it to only 2 hours, and then in April, it was reduced all the way down to 45 minutes. Now, of course, these days you can train one in just over 2 minutes, but imagine that. Imagine those old days. 18 hours for one spell? Yeah, no, not going to happen. And obviously the game has been sped up, much like this attack, and now things accelerate and advance much more quickly. And of course, we've come a long ways. It's exciting to see where Clash has come and to think where it might be going. Exorcist, man, okay. I gotta tell you, if you guys get a chance, go back and watch the video a second time and check out the usage of the recall spell, because I will admit I was wrong. When the recall spell first came out, I said something to the effect of,
"No, nobody will ever use this spell, it's completely useless."
So maybe I was wrong. And I also did predict, though, that the pros would be the ones to figure out how to make it work, and sure enough, they are, because we've got 3 of these recall spell triples in today's episode. But let's move on and look way back to the early days of Clash of Clans as we watch another beautiful recall spell. This one actually used against Tribe Gaming in a recent attack. And yes, you'll notice that the consistent troops are the Archer Queen and usually 4 healers. Notice the 5th healer still waiting. That's because the recall spell only has enough capacity to pick up that hero, the pets, and those 4 healers. The 5th one would be left just floating in the air. So very carefully and very patiently, the attack begins, and it's almost always a queen charge pickup, because the queen is going to funnel both sides of the remaining attack. And of course, also, time is of the essence. And right here, it's just about that time for E.T. Almualan to ask you the question, do you recall? The question is, do you recall the rarest obstacle in all of Clash of Clans? And if you answered the 2012 Christmas tree, wrong, no, sorry, it's the goblin pole. What'd you say, Galadon? That's right. It's the Goblin Pole, also known as the TLD Decoration Goblin Pole. This was the subject of my very first Strange But True video, a series that ran for years until the Clash team got too good at eliminating said bases and accounts, and unfortunately, it's been a long time since we've made a Strange But True episode, but it doesn't mean you can't go back and watch the entire playlist. I'm going to link it right here. There's some really fun stuff to watch. The series was both loved and hated. It was because of these episodes that many of these things were removed from the game, notably this Goblin Pole in the base of a player named ARL. Right after I released this video, for some suspicious reason, the base was removed, or at least the Goblin Pole was removed. Last I checked, ARL still exists. But yes, so the Clash team definitely watched my Strange But True videos, and that's what really became this big negative feedback to the videos. A lot of viewers were like, Galadon, you are diming off, you are snitching on these players, and then they're getting banned because of your videos. But my whole argument was then if I didn't, then you couldn't watch the video and you would never know that it existed, right? Or players would say, oh, Galadon, that's fake. You did that in a private server, or you did it with AI. Okay, that was before the days of AI, but you get the point, right? No, these were real in-game glitches, and half of the fun was to watch the video and then go in-game and see that it existed for yourself. So again, it was exciting, it was fun. I would love to make more episodes, so hey, if you've got one, let me know down in the comments. Let me know in a live stream. Tag me at Galadon Gaming on Twitter, and I am rewarding anybody who can truly send me a strange but true base that I can put into a future video. Okay, so let's recall the last ancient feature about Clash of Clans, and this one is going to be a little bit more modern day. In fact, we only need to go back to 2019, so many players are familiar with this, but still it was a significant change in Clash, so I thought I would include it, as Jojo23 from Tribe Gaming asks, do you recall? The question is, do you recall when thousands of players stood in line, endless long lines to play Clash of Clans? What? No? That doesn't sound familiar? Okay. Well, not so much standing in an actual physical line, but how about a game that was literally unplayable? Yeah, you remember that screen? You remember this dreaded screen? Yes, before Operation Blue Skies, and I will link the video right here so you can watch all about the history. Sometimes players would play Clash of Clans for 16, 18, 20 hours a day without actually playing Clash of Clans. It was brutal, it was painful, and for many of us, though, it was kind of the heyday of Clash because, okay, here's the thing. It was the days where you could become the top attacker in the world by no-lifing Clash of Clans. You did not need to be the best player. It was not about skill. It was more about resourcefulness. There were players that put their devices into Ziploc bags and hung them in the shower. I kid you not. There were players that took their devices everywhere they went, and even there were rumors of players setting up mechanical alerts, ways to wake them up in the middle of the night if they were to find a base. Obviously, there was the sound of the clashing swords, but also the light changed on the screen, and I even knew of some players who had set up programs to specifically wake them up if they found a base. So let me know down in the comments what you thought of today's unusual approach to an episode. Let me know if we should recall more Clash history. Thank you for sticking around all the way to the end of the episode. Galafam, get out there. Make the best of the rest of your day, week, month, and year. Be kind to other people, animals, and the planet. I'll see you back here again tomorrow for more full attacks.
Galadon, I recall when a gym box took 1 year to clear. Do you remember that, Galadon?